and welcome to this week's edition of Players Parlor podcast, where we play a game while you play along with us. This week we've got BMD visiting us again. As you guys remember, he was our first guest in Firewatch. We Our audio was a complete disaster, but we've since found a solution. There is no game audio. You can only hear us prattle and talk on about everything. Horizon Zero Dawn is the game that we're doing, as I said, and it's one of those games that I've not really played it. I've not yet had a chance to fully play it because I kind of want to do a full stream about it. But as far as I'm aware, though, BMD does have quite a bit of experience to it. So, BMD, want to introduce yourself quickly while I start the game for us?
Yeah, hello everyone. I do have some experience with the first game at least. Like I said, I did play it at the time because it was kind of one of those things you, as a PlayStation person going into the PlayStation 4 era, this is one of those games like, oh, you should try it. It has to be on your list of trying games, especially for PlayStation entries, because it was one of the games as well that was supposed to showcase what the PlayStation 4 at the time was capable of. Which I think this game does do a good job. Aloy! As I start screaming. I think this game does do a good job. Like I said, I did like it. It's a pretty cool concept and open world stuff. It just wasn't exactly my cup of tea at the time. So yeah, I didn't stay committed to it.
Yeah, and what I thought at the time is because I was choosing obviously between the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, and I obviously went Xbox. I saw the Horizon game entirely because I didn't know anything about the story. I thought it was like almost a clean counter to the Tomb Raider games because this was just as Rise of the Tomb Raider was released.
Mm.
So I thought like, oh, this is Sony's answer to that like exclusive because that was just as Xbox started becoming like the place where Tomb Raider is and what Tomb Raider does. Of course, now it's a bit different, and as we can see, like they don't like Aloy, our main character, and I do know why actually because this is one of those games that I couldn't help myself because I kept seeing people from Sony going like, "This game is so great," and obviously I couldn't play it because I'm a PC gamer mostly. So what I did is I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna talk like I know like I played the game, and I just read the Wikipedia page.
Nice.
Because it was just easier. I was just like, I need to do something quickly. I was just like, you know what? Screw it. It's going to be much easier. It's going to be much faster.
Yeah, no, I understand. Um, like I said, the game is quite an interesting story, and it's, I think, the strongest part of this game. I don't think the story is as, oh, it's the best told story out there. But I think in terms of, if you want to immerse yourself into a world, it's one of the better games in telling a story that will easily immerse you into a world. If I can put it that way. If, for example, Last of Us Part 1 has a pretty great story, a pretty fantastic story in terms of like the overarching thing and all of that. And I
Sure,
loved it
sure.
as a story, but I didn't immerse myself into the Last of Us world. It just wasn't that type of story for me. It was a fantastically well told story, but I didn't immerse myself. Whereas in something as Horizon Zero Dawn, I don't feel the story is as strong. But say I wanted to immerse myself into a world where we're all Unga Bunga tribe people with robotic dinosaurs. I mean, hell yeah, I could live myself in that.
Yeah, it's definitely a, I want to say, story that requires you to live in a little bit, but also like not live in with it because there's so many parts of the game that completely pulls you out. Like when I first saw this area, because obviously I just read the story, so I was just like, oh, okay, so it's like a future story about, but like, and then I got into this area, I was like, oh, this is not what I expected. This is completely the opposite of what I thought it was going to be. And you mentioned Last of Us. I tend to not mention it, but I absolutely despise that game. But
Why though?
oh, if I ever get enough people to like tell me to play that game, and then like I don't know, thousands of viewers and commenters telling me to try it out, I'll launch into a long diatribe about it. But I think today I'm just going to focus on this. And one of the things that I really always found interesting about it is the actual gameplay of it, because it's
Mm,
got a very unique gameplay.
it does.
And also, I don't know if you've noticed, but because I'm playing on like a proper gaming computer, it does look quite a bit better than it does on the PlayStation 4.
Naturally, yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those
It does.
things like this is how I experienced it. So for me it's always kind of looked amazing. And then I remember I played this just as the second one released. I think, yeah, because this got on Steam like I think a day or two before they released the second one. I can't even remember, and I bought it for like on a special as well. So I was playing this. I was like, oh, this looks really really fantastic. And then the first thing every streamer said was like, oh, look at this, Horizon Forbidden. I think it's Forbidden West.
Forbidden West.
Yeah, that's the second one. I was just like, I don't know. They look very similar to me.
I think it's just. I think it's legit just a continuation of Elo's story. I don't
Hmm.
know what the time jump is between game 1 and 2.
As far as I can tell, and as far as obviously, because as soon as I got this game, I was like, okay, I'm not going to watch any of the streamers for too long. I just want to see if like they say the game is good. So
Mm.
I waited until Coke Carnage finished the entire game and then did the after story. And as far as I can tell, it's basically a direct follow up. Like
Yeah, that
they don't
that
really
would make
skip
sense.
time.
'Cause
Yeah.
yeah, that would make sense because it's yeah. It you don't see. I don't see any aging in Aloy, and I don't see too much of a. You see, that's the thing. Is like also it's a very interesting like dichotomy of the time period because, as I said, it's tribal people, clearly tribal people, but they have
Mm,
this weird access to tech,
mm,
as in
mm,
like what you
mm.
see now. Like this is just the beginning and stuff like that, and the tech they use. And I'm not even talking about the ancient tech she keeps stumbling upon. I'm talking about like the bows she uses.
Yeah, because
Clearly
as
advanced
I
stuff.
understand it, they basically destroy the like robots and robot animals and stuff and build stuff from
Yes,
their parts,
yes.
which
So the
is
dichotomy is very weird for me because then how do you if I go 30 years into the future, the only way for me at this point to tell that it's 30 years into the future is if you age Aloy. Like, I genuinely don't know
mm, mm.
how do you show me to the world? Oh, it's 30 years into the future. Like, because now there's both the future and the past just chilling here.
Okay, yeah, but this is one of the things that's like spoiler for the main story of what Horizon is about. At some point, Aloy won't age if everything goes as planned.
Ah, yeah, I don't think I got to that point.
Oh
I
yeah,
do
okay.
remember. Yeah.
I only know this because of the wiki, because the wiki basically talked about both games. Of course, you know.
Mm. The last mission I do remember was getting into the was it the volcano? Like there was something around a volcano or a mountain or something.
I see.
Remember
Now you're
specifically.
talking about the specifics that I won't know about because I got to adult alloy,
Yeah.
whatever, and it was basically I spent about I think 20 minutes playing the game, doing like the first stealth stuff, and then that old laptop just went like, listen, I know you like this game, but I can't play this game.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah,
Died.
it basically went that, and I was like, okay, let's not push it further. And I can't even remember what the hell I have to do.
Mm,
Ah, there you go. To face unavailable.
yeah. Just scanning
Yes.
the room. This took me also a long while the first time I played it because I never paid attention when it told me what button it is to scan, and I spent the entire time running around like just trying to figure
Just
out stuff. I was like, "Where's the scan button?"
pressing every single button. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, but like
Here
I pressed the scan button and like stuff would pop up, but I didn't understand what it did.
we go.
I was like, "Am I just pinging something? Is this is like a ping like Apex Legends, like ding?"
Fortunately, it's not that complicated in reality. Once it is one of those games where you if you figure things out, it kind of goes, but like it also kind of takes you a while. Like I still haven't actually mastered the stealth.
Hmm. I don't think I've played a lot of stealth regarding this game, or I played in such a way that the stealth I did like while engaging in combat.
Mm-mm. To be fair, that is
If I
like
can
how
put it
I've
that
seen a
way.
lot of people play it because they play the game and then like they kind of give up. They just go like, you know what? They do the start of the game very stealthily until they get like a high enough level and they got all the right gear, and then they just go like, okay, listen, I'm just gonna run up and kill you now.
Well, I used to specifically for some of those dinos. I remember that I think there's that one dino with like the big eye that looks for you the whole time,
With the
like
long
the long
neck.
neck.
Ah, yes, yes.
Yes. So what I do is like they usually have a bunch of those in in a say level or whatever. So then what I do is I just try and take as many of them out as possible without being detected because I knew like those are the ones that rat me out easiest. So I'm just gonna take them out the whole time the fastest I can.
Yes, he said those are that's a lot further than I got. I think there's only the small underbrush stuff is the only things that I've actually fought. So
Mm, mm.
do you know what kind of gets me though? Right, I've got a niece with red hair, and Aloy genuinely reminds me of her.
So what you're saying is you kind of can already predict how she's gonna look in the future.
I doubt it. There's like grown Aloy does not have the same features as you would expect. But that's I only know that because I've got a bunch of redheads in the family. Anyway, what I do expect the game to bring in the future is guns. Just because I don't like
Mm.
bow and arrows. And it's
Very well, it's a very telling way of combat in the game because it means like naturally your limit is draw an arrow, shoot an arrow, 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 and it repeats like that.
yeah, but one of the two of the first things I know everybody does when they get like a bow and arrow, the first upgrades they get is reload speed, right?
Yes,
And
actually.
and then getting an arrow with some kind of bomb at the end of it.
Yes. Yeah,
So if
modification.
yeah, effectively making the bow and arrow a gun,
Basically, yeah.
or
I
even
would say
better,
the only thing about yeah, sorry.
a grenade launcher more likely actually.
Mostly, yeah. I just
Yeah.
like the idea of a bow and arrow because it's a very fast stealth weapon in most games. In
I mean,
most
it's
games.
in most games, but that's kind of where I like draw the similarities between Horizon and Tomb Raider, because the new
Right.
Tomb Raider has all the guns, but if you're playing the game properly, the strongest weapon that you will always have on you is your bow and arrow,
Hmm.
and
It is so.
it's very similar styles of playing when you play only with their bow and arrow as well.
Yeah. No, I can imagine.
Jeez.
I can imagine.
Always forget how many dead bodies there are in this part of the game.
Yeah, there's quite a few actually because it was almost like civilization just
Yeah, just died out straight up. And I'm not hearing anything. I know you're not hearing anything either.
I can faintly hear like when Aloy says something, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a voice log playing right now, but I've got no idea what's playing. So the viewers at home or the gamers at home is probably telling us like, can you like move slower? And sorry guys, like I kind of want to get to like I don't want to call her an adult. She's more like young adult. Aloy. How old is she when she grows up? Actually, I have no idea.
20s, somewhere around 20s,
20s.
because they do. I think they do that like she does this one part where she does like a rite of passage or some
Ah,
other ones, but I think she's older than the teens. That's
ah.
the rite of passage is supposed for, if I remember correctly. So I know she has to be in her 20s.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Okay. Yes, but this game, I don't know about you, BMD. Also, the listeners are probably going like, we're very, very quiet. Guys, everybody listening at home, it is currently 20 to 11 at night. So I also don't think we're going to do the full 2 hour stream tonight. Full 2 hour recording? How would you call it?
Hey man, just pretend you're back in high school and you're able to sit through many, many hours like this at late nights.
I mean, I really wish I could, but the new doggo literally wakes me up at 7 a.m. and
That's
it's
what.
it's been a shock, eh?
Yeah, I was gonna say that it does bring a new kink to the routine, doesn't it? When they all of a sudden, I mean, you're not alone. My cat is extremely adamant that it should be fed at 5 a.m. It is
Yo, no,
extremely adamant.
no, no way.
Like it doesn't bother me too much because I'll feed the cats, and then I'll just hop back in bed and I'll drift off. But it's like I know by now. I can tell you for a fact by now 5 a.m. or if he's pushing at 6 a.m. He is very adamant. He has to be fed there. He can't wait until I actually wake up for work or whatever. It is the bone.
Yeah, I would not be able to handle that BMD. If anything wakes me up after like 3 a.m., I'm not awake. I'm not a happy person. You don't get normal sock then.
Stinky sock.
No, not stinky sock, angry sock.
Angry sock.
Because the issue is it
Uh,
takes me. We're totally not talking about the game, but everybody, it's cutscenes, and I don't want to skip the cutscenes either because it's actually important to the lore. The only thing that kind of annoys me, right, about all of these games, they're always set in like America somewhere. And if you know what kind
mm-hmm.
of game this is, you would also question why they would like try to rebuild North America specifically. Like I would expect probably South America, bit better.
Yeah, it is an interesting thing about a lot of studios these days, whether they are AAA or indie. I just wonder if for them it's like as a reference, it's for them much easier to just go out, say to a forest in America. They take it, they analyze it, they say, okay, we know more or less what we want to put in the game,
Yeah, but that's one of
and
those
they
things. Like I don't think the studio that made this is in North America. I think they're in like Europe somewhere.
Guerrilla.
Say again?
Let me see,
Yeah,
Guerrilla Studios,
you can Google for us.
Guerrilla Games, Guerrilla Games, I think.
Oh no, Guerrilla Games. Guerrilla Games.
It's
Uh,
based in Amsterdam.
in Amsterdam, yeah. See, it's one of those
Hmm.
things. It's. I found it like one of the strangest things is Japanese companies, right, that make games set
Yeah.
entirely in the US, and I'm just like Yakuza, the new Yakuza game. The new Yakuza game is set entirely in Hawaii,
Hawaii. Yeah.
and I watched a few streamers, and they were like, "Yeah, this is so immersive," and I was like, "Everybody's speaking Japanese. How is that immersive? It's Hawaii."
you should see Tekken if you're gonna be worried about that, dude.
No,
Everyone in
Taken
Tekken speaks.
Taken is fine because Taken, there's like you go in and it's like no, you don't believe anything, and then people go like Yakuza's this like good RPG game. It's like so accurate. I'm like, I don't want to be rude here, but this guy is speaking only Japanese in a country that only speaks English or Spanish.
To me, Yakuza is a fantastic RPG game, but you have to turn your brain off. It's a requirement. I promise you, you cannot overthink a Yakuza game.
See, that's one of those things that I
Every
still need to do. I still need to play a Yakuza game because I've watched a lot of. I tried watching a lot of people, and it's very boring to watch. But I can
No,
tell
it's
it's
not
a
as fun to
lot of
watch
fun to play.
play. It's excellent to play. It's absolutely because it's so you know how some studios and some things are dead set on making something their characteristic thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So for Yakuza games, their characteristic is literally the absurdity of it. Like they thrive off of making the most absurd thing you could imagine possible, and then just yeah,
Hmm.
they just one upping themselves every time. Look how much more absurd. Oh, there's the trial, by the way, the rites of passage.
Yeah, I assumed. Also, do you know why I specifically chose you to play this game with BMD?
PlayStation.
PlayStation specifically, and I want to hear your thoughts on this game being a PlayStation exclusive and then not being a PlayStation exclusive anymore. Because
I don't
because
really have a say.
Sony is the only one
Yeah.
doing that. Like Xbox is like, oh, if something is Xbox exclusive, it stays an Xbox exclusive for surprisingly long, like forever. It's only Sony that's recently started being like, oh, okay, you know what, this game that used to be an exclusive, put it on PC.
Well, Xbox did it now for the first time with Hi-Fi Rush and some others. They finally now also reciprocated off of
Mm.
theirs. I think the thing is like I wonder if it's because of the Microsoft acquisition that Xbox isn't naturally drawn. Oh no, technically it is a Microsoft exclusive usually. So no, that's not it. But I don't have a stake in the claim when it comes to exclusivity. I couldn't really be more bothered being like I enjoy having a game on the system, but I don't enjoy like the exclusivity of it
Yeah,
because
you kind of want others to
I
play with you.
kind of want others to enjoy the game as well. So I think in the case of, for example, Sony, it's not such a big gut punch because it's just a bunch of single player games mostly. There's very little exclusive multiplayer games that PlayStation makes.
Mm-hmm.
Sony. But like for example, I didn't necessarily like the Xbox multiplayer games, but I could just imagine to myself like I'd imagine some people on PlayStation would have enjoyed to play Gears or Halo or those. It's kind of always just I find it sad. It's like I'd like to just know that any and every game that comes out now, anyone should be able to play. I don't understand the exclusivity thing,
I
and it
mean,
feels
if we're
like now
talking
that
about something recently, we can probably talk about Helldivers too. That's only Sony and PC.
that's the first like that's the only multiplayer Sony game that comes to mind, and I'm still sad about that in a way because like oh imagine how nice of a community or bigger community you could have had if it came to Xbox.
Yeah, I can
I
only
mean
imagine
cross
that
platform.
thing. Uh, but
Strider, this is what these guys are called. I just remember their name.
yeah, it's like the Helldivers thing is specifically. It's one of those things. It's just like maybe it would have been slightly better to make it like timed exclusives. Like so, like Xbox used to do quite a bit. You know, it's like we're just gonna make a timed exclusive. Okay, where the hell is the other rock? Oh no, he's already killed the thing. Because I think that community would have been so much more active than it is already. Because right now, it's got I think it's got one of the highest concurrent players on Steam still to this day. And I think a lot of Xbox players, especially I know Game Pass players, are being like, "Oh, this is kind of annoying. We also kind of want to play, you know. We don't
No,
want to."
I understand it completely because I mean, when it comes also to live service, I think that's one of those games that did live service very, very well in recent times.
Mm. And then we get single
So
player games like Horizon, which I actually think Horizon is in danger of being forgotten because
a
it
little.
they make each release makes a big splash, but I've noticed that after about a month they've forgotten. And
I
with
think they, like I said, they just don't stand out as well compared to other games. I think it's as a game, it's a good showcase, you know, for Sony and stuff like that. But I don't feel like it's their strongest game. If someone, for example, asks me, "Oh, you know, what PlayStation game would you recommend?" The one that comes to mind immediately are your standard ones, your normal ones. So God of War, Spider Man,
mm, mm, mm.
you know, because I just feel like they are stronger games for me. And Uncharted. If you want a really fun story with more mechanics, just do Uncharted as well. That game, Uncharted 4 especially, the graphics for that still hold up exquisitely.
Yeah, but Uncharted 4 is the last one, so I would really hope that one holds up. But you've got a point there. One of the only reasons that I really want to buy a PlayStation is to play the Uncharted series because those games are just on a whole different level of archaeological exploration.
Fun. Well, like I said, I like you can it's also in a way it's still also a turn your brain off game, but a very fun one at that because what do you call it? It has a lot of tropes in each and every game. It has a lot of tropes, but like I said, you enjoy actually the game so much you look past it quite easily. Which job done. I mean, if you can still have tropes or like typical things in your game and people don't mind it, you've done something right because they're still invested into it. You know, they don't feel like, oh man, every game does that and now you're doing it as well.
I mean, to be fair, the fighting sections in Uncharted I've seen is pretty much normal duck and cover. It's the
Very
exploration
much.
that's always like intrigued me, you know, like trying to solve puzzles and like the mystery aspect. And
Yes.
something that I enjoy about Uncharted from what I've seen is it's much more a character driven story than a lot of the other games in its genre, I want to say, is because a lot of
Yes,
the
yes, yes,
games
yes.
is it's your main characters kind of always on their own, doing stuff, exploring stuff, trying to find things. When in Uncharted, it's yes, Nathan Drake does a lot of stuff alone and exploration, but there's also a lot of times where he's like exploring with others. Like there's a constant talking and you know
Yes.
just a general vibe.
Yes. No, that is true. That is very true. There has been a lot of strong characters coming through the series. Obviously, Sully, Elena, uh, even the Chloe, which was now again she came back and lost legacy. Villains, antagonists were always pretty good. Um, and yeah, more or less very very good, strong characters with good arc. Uh, I'm trying to think now. The other thing I was going to mention, there was something else I wanted to mention about Uncharted. I'll probably come back to mind later. Oh, did he push her? I couldn't remember. Did he actually push her there, or did he try to grab
He
her?
tried to grab her and then
He
accidentally grabbed the only weapon from her, the bow.
does. You're on your own, kid.
But she doesn't quite listen to him, which is normal.
No, it's just normal for these games, especially.
Can I genuinely see there?
Yeah, this is. Oh, I remember this. This is like the patrol routes or something. You can see.
Yeah.
Watch it. Yes, I remember now. Um,
Wee. Thank
I mean,
you.
the only big other PlayStation exclusive I can think of coming out now that a lot of people are talking about because it's the first. I think this is the first PlayStation 5 showcase game, which is extremely late, but I guess better late than never. That Stellar Blade game.
Oh yeah, Stellar Blade, the one that's currently making news for a whole bunch of
Jiggle, 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 jiggle.
jiggle physics. But the funniest thing that I've seen about the Stellar Blade recently is someone genuinely going like, "Oh yes, you can see this was made by a guy," and then the character creator going like, "Listen, I'm literally a woman."
Yeah, it's like it's not even unrealistic. They literally took a body scan of a model and used it in their game. It's like what else do you want them to do?
And it's actually one of the things that is part of Horizon Zero Dawn story is when the high quality video plays, right? Aloy has like the small hairs that people have
Yeah,
on their
yes, yes,
face and
yes.
stuff, and then no bodies. And I can remember that being like a massive thing. Like a lot of gamers went in and was like photoshopped that and like cleaned it up and it was like, yeah, this is what true beauty is. And everybody was just like, listen, guys, we get the feeling you've not really seen any human beings in a long time. Because if you did, you would
Yeah.
know that that's actually pretty normal, and there's a reason why it's so impressive.
Yeah, no, I like I said, it's just more of a yes, but I think the thing is like even I remember now what I wanted to say about Uncharted, but I'll circle back to it. But the other thing is like even games like Tekken, for example, is like it's not only just like the pores on the skin or the hair follicles or whatever. It's like even cracked lips, like the little cracks you get in your lips,
Mm-mm.
or just a little like I don't know how to put it, but like flaws basically, flaws in a human being is
Yeah,
like
like
there.
it's normal and like
It's
nothing. The issue has always been that like AI stuff or computer generated stuff has always been too smooth and too perfect and flawless, you know. And
yeah,
now that
yeah, yeah,
now that the graphics have actually reached a point where like, listen, we can show the flaws that humans have and like everything else that should be there. Now they're complaining about that and they're saying like that's not realistic.
yeah. No, I remember a lot of stuff like that. The thing I wanted to talk about with Uncharted, which you will appreciate as well, with the way I think you play games and stuff like that, is Naughty Dog, and like all of the games are like this. Even if you don't like Last of Us, this is still something that's in Last of Us, and like still something that you see in all of the games. Naughty Dog's ability, like attention to detail, is stupidly good.
You see, yeah, I think I really would appreciate that because that is something that I notice when a lot of games that I don't like and when I think you're probably seeing in the reviews as well. It's there for thousand cuts. Like if a game has one big flaw, I can kind of like ignore it and just like work around it and still find
Yeah,
something to like. But it's when there's a bunch of small stuff that's just like, I don't enjoy this. Like why is this there?
yeah.
Why is that not there? It's just very annoying overall. And if
You
you're
got a
telling me
Steam
that,
achievement.
yeah, I told you I've not really done much in this game.
But yeah, no, I get what you mean. Like it accumulates basically, and then after a while, you're like, well, and like the negatives are outweighing the positives, and then at that point, it's like you can't really say you'd recommend the game or whatever anymore.
Exactly, and I'm really hoping
Um,
that Horizon is different, because it's gotten enough
I feel like
patches and enough
yeah,
polish to just be the experience that they want.
I would say the longer you play Horizon, the better it will be. It depends
Mm.
just like how patient you're going to end up being of the game in terms of that. Because, um, like I said, at the point where my sister came uh, with the game, like it was completely different, and she had so much stuff unlocked and stuff like that. And I found it amazing because like watching it, it was really entertaining. It's just like I couldn't be patient enough to get to that point because I was like, I'm not enjoying it as much as I thought I would.
And
And you know,
it is something that like a lot of, especially these types of RPGs, require from you. You need some initial patience for about 2 or 3 hours to get through the slow parts in the game and like the tutorial parts in the game, the parts of the game where you just kind of
yeah.
don't know what to
No,
do.
I will say, I think it's the same thing that people were saying about what's that new one, Dragon's Dogma.
Oh yeah.
Is apparently it's very sluggish at first, but once you get into it, it's a non-stop machine. That's what Imagine literally told me. Is like it was slow, and then now every time it turns on his freaking console, is like the the only game he goes into is Dragon's Dogma.
See, that's what I've also heard a lot of people say as well, and like a few of my friends that play is like they said that initial hill for them was almost impossible to climb, but now that they've over it, they can't stop playing the game. Like there's literally, I've seen people that say that they hate the game initially, and they didn't want to play it, and then a streamer told them like, listen, just play it, and now they've got nearly like 50, 60 hours within 2 weeks in it. They've put more work into
Yeah,
that game than the actual work.
yeah. That's what I was thinking as well. So, oh, I did remember what I wanted to say about Uncharted. So, the biggest attention to detail that I remember from this was from Uncharted 4, and it blew my mind when I figured it out. So, for example, I'll give an example of the attention detail. You can shoot. There were like these standard, standard stacks of rice. Basically, you can see it's rice or grain or whatever it was inside of the stack.
Mm-mm.
If you shoot it, if you shoot it, not only will rice start coming out of the sack, but it will start trickling at first, I think, and then pouring. And while it pours, the sack literally starts slumping over because there's less rice in the sack.
Yeah,
And
that's that's
that's the type of attention to detail that Naughty Dog has with their games. It's stupidly good once you start noticing it.
jeez, that's just an insane amount. And I can't even
So
imagine
there's an
like the development that would require, you know?
They have a bad crunch culture. I will point that out. They have a terrible crunch culture.
I mean,
Um,
that's also very, very, very normal for modern gaming, isn't it?
it is indeed. I think there's very few because I think that what happens obviously is I think everyone starts out honest with a game that's like not too big in scope. Oh, just this, and then they think like, well, we want to add this, and we want to add this, and we want to add this, and then it starts like growing out of hand, and no one's pulling the reins saying, listen, we can't add all of this, or they just, they're just setting themselves up to like trick and just get everything in. And yeah, that's what turns out, I think. So I think similar to, what do you call it? What was that other one? Rockstar also had that apparent crunch culture for Red Dead 2.
Oh, yeah, but Rockstar's notorious. Not Rockstar's had that since like Grand Theft Auto 3, where they just
Mm.
can't stop crunching. And I think it's something to do with Rockstar and the way they like just set up the entire development team. And now, if you think of it, right, Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out in the next few years. And the irony of it
Yep.
is, they're probably crunching right now to develop that game. But Grand Theft Auto
After
5,
12 years.
yeah, is 12 years old. They had 12 years to not do that crunch time, you know? If they just
Yep.
calmly developed it, but no, because, I mean, how long have they made stuff for Grand Theft Auto 5? They've ported that thing to, I think, 2 generations of consoles now.
Yep.
Okay, I think this is also where we're going to end stream as soon as we get control of. Why do I keep saying stream? That's just habits.
I'm gonna end the
Yes.
stream here, guys.
No, this is where we're going to end the podcast for this episode. As I think Aloy's journey into adulthood is perfect spot to end.
She looks back at the camera. Oh, sorry,
She
back at her
did.
father.
I mean, I was just like, she didn't really look back at the camera. She looked at the guy, whatever his name is. There
Father
we
figure.
go. Father figure. Father closest she's got. Yeah, we don't need to show what happens next, I think. Okay. I think it's best we leave it there. BMD, it has been wonderful having you on.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me once again.
Oh, I'm going to invite you in the future again. I mean, you're the closest to me physically.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like the closest.
The closest to me physically, like you, I think you're one of the few people that I've got in South Africa. I've got friends in Singapore that's lined up, and then I've got friends in Romania and just all over the place, just like waiting, and for the next
They're
next.
international over here, huh?
Yeah. Look at me throwing those names around. Anyway, thank you everybody for listening to Players Parlor podcast. It has been wonderful, and as you all know, we will be here next week again. We're going to be doing coffee talk, and then after that, I think we've got a Tiny Tina's adventure from Borderlands with a friend as well. And then the only other one that I can think of that we've got lined up as well is Diablo 4, but we're waiting for the new season to launch. So and that's also going to be a bit of fun because I'm still very, very baby in Diablo 4. I only recently got it through Game Pass, so obviously I've not yet got all the experience. And as you heard BMD just say, ooh, I think he also wants to play the new season with us there.
It's a bit too hack and slashy for me, but I did enjoy Diablo's like story and stuff. It was quite interesting.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you, everybody. BMD, do you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Well, I hope you all have a lovely day and see you next time.